Hey guys, welcome to episode 3.
We're doing episode 3. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's already been 3 months since we've had our first episode released, so this is exciting. What's been going on with your life?
Man, nothing much. So, I'm still working my corporate job, so doing that, and then I have a couple of things going on the side, just, mainly making videos, whether it's like personal stuff or client work. So I'll say that's what I mainly have going on, and I have some, things going on with you, Slim, some other bros, so, little things going on here and there.
Buy some shoes.
Yeah, always buying shoes, of course.
Jimmy's a big sneakerhead, for those who don't know. But big month for me, just bought a property. Jimmy was one of the investors. And we also just purchased one of our competitors for our boba store, so we're about to have our second location.
Which is pretty big because you guys have only been open for a couple months.
Yeah. So it's exciting. It's a great opportunity. I mean, unfortunately, COVID hit a lot of restaurants in a negative way. Fortunately for us, we were still in the positive, and even better for us, we were able to take advantage and purchase another competitor and turn it around and turn it into a boba republic. So super exciting stuff. But our current guest, Beung, Beung Kwon, he's from California.
San Francisco State.
Yep. And he owns 3 restaurants, 3 different restaurants in San Francisco. And this interview was very awesome because he was extremely insightful and talkative and very
social, outgoing.
So we hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys soon. Welcome to the 3rd episode, guys. We have Beung Kwon from San Francisco. Is that right?
San Francisco State, Yep,
San Francisco State.
Chapter.
Yeah. My name is David Kim, and
my name is Jimmy Trent.
And welcome to the show. So how's it going, man?
Great to be here. Great.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah, no, I was pretty excited for a little bit. I'm glad that you guys are doing this. This is pretty great.
Yeah, I think this is just like one of the tools that we can do to kind of give back. I mean, it's with all the technology, everyone uses Zoom now, so it's just easy. It doesn't take too much time.
And also there's so many lambdas across the world.
Yeah, there's a lot all over.
So do you want to start off with just describing who you are, where you're from? Yeah.
Well, I'm from San Francisco State Omicron chapter. I crossed in 98, fall of 98, so pretty long time ago. I'm originally from Monterey, Central California. Moved up to San Francisco State. Right after I moved up, I pretty much joined Lambdas right away, which I shouldn't have, but I did, in retrospect. But I didn't know anything about the fraternity, so I pretty much joined. My uncle's a Lambda. He's a Lambda at Santa Cruz, and he pretty much on the drive up to San Francisco to drop me off at school, he told me about Lambdas and specifically told me not to join the first year. And then, of course, I didn't listen to him. So, and then after that, it's pretty much all downhill, pretty much. But no, Lambdas was a huge, important part of my life. So, I mean, there's always pros and cons about this fraternity, but there's nothing that I regret at all.
Awesome. And I know from my talk with Kevin and my buddies, they're saying you own a restaurant or a couple in the area?
Yeah. I have a Hawaiian bar restaurant in San Francisco, and then I have a cocktail bar in San Francisco as well, and then a shabu house in the city as well, and then a couple of those minor little businesses here and there.
And were you always an entrepreneur? Is that what you always did after college?
No, not at all. I mean, we never become who we set off to be in the beginning, right? Yeah. We want to do this and want to do that. Most of us don't even know what we want to do in the beginning. But I was the film major at SF State. Oh, wow. So I was a cinema and film major. I wanted to be a director someday. That's what I really wanted to be. And then over the years, things changed, and I kind of fell into the whole restaurant bar thing, for the most part. But when I was in school, I was, Lambdas, we throw a lot of parties back then, And then, so we were throwing a lot of parties, and then I kind of got caught up with doing, club parties, being a promoter for a little while on the side while I was doing my day job. And that turned into something a little bit bigger, and then took more of my time. And next thing you know, we had a club for a little bit. Then it turned into, okay, we'll look for a bar, restaurant, just something to do on the side. There was always something that we're going to do on the side. It wasn't really a career choice, I always thought that maybe I'll go back to school for maybe study film again or, something else. But I kind of enjoyed doing this whole restaurant bar thing for a while, and it just kind of turned into something, a little bit bigger and bigger as the years went by. And I took over Paina about 6 years ago. And then after that, I just started acquiring more businesses, and pretty much where I am today.
That's
Not
awesome.
that it's all that great, but yeah.
So Pioneer was the first one.
Yeah, it was the first one.
And
First main one.
Gotcha.
First main one, yeah.
And what was that club called that you were operating and promoting for?
Well, there was a promotion company. It was called Synergy.
Uh-huh.
It's been around for a long time. Anybody in San Francisco back in the day probably, partied once or twice, but it was always a side thing.
Yeah.
During the day I was working at a media company, and then I was a nanny for a long time at the same time. So I was working at the media company, I was a nanny, and I was doing parties on the weekends, and pretty much all that time I was involved pretty heavily in fraternity, for a long time. So it was all pretty much doing all that all at once.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I feel like I've known like 2-3 club promoters in Texas who now they own their own businesses now. So
Yeah, I think that's a lot of my friends that are like that. They're the same. If anybody are kind of been a promoter or clubbing or anything related to that, they kind of end up owning a restaurant or a bar or a nightclub.
The contractors that built the boba shop for us, he started off as a club promoter, and then he started doing all these partnership, and he owns his own construction company and his own restaurants and everything. So it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's something
Similar
about that.
path.
Yeah.
Similar path. Yeah.
Well, so then I also know that you were also on the national board. How was that experience?
I was pretty involved for a long time, and then when I was involved with national, it was very different. It's not the way it was how it is now. We're at a time when pretty much like it was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
When kind of everything kind of shifted, Jack Shaw and Frank Ho, they were president and vice president, and that's when kind of everything turned for the better. Mm-hmm. Things were changing. Prior to that, Nationals was kind of still growing. They were like kids almost, It wasn't to what it is now.
Growing pains.
And like after Jack and Frank became president, they changed a lot of things. And then I think at that time I was chapter president when Jack was president, and then from the time that I started at Nationals, just a lot of things happened. We had, a lot of negative things.
Yeah.
A lot of negative things. I mean, we had one of our bros pass away in San Jose, and like after that happened, I got introduced to Nationals pretty much, and then from that point on, I was part of Nationals for a long time. So I was governor after that, I think, and then I was Frank's vice president, and then after that I was president after that for 2 or 3 terms, I think. I can't remember. It's been a little while.
Gotcha.
2 or 3 terms, yeah. But it was rough times. Those were the times when our fraternity almost ended at that time.
Yeah.
That was the time when we had multiple kids pass away from pledging incidents. Mm-hmm. We had board of directors and people that were supposed to be kind of overlooking all this. They all resigned.
Yeah.
It was pretty much me and my guys who try to do our best to keep the fraternity alive.
Now, what would you say like you learned from that experience, and like what made you different than the others who were who resigned?
That sounds pretty tough.
Yeah. It sounded like you went through a lot, right?
Oh, it was bad. It was so bad that I couldn't even watch a movie that had lawyers in it because I dealt with lawyers every day.
Yeah.
Like I remember A Few Good Men came on TV and I had to turn it off. I just couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
Like it was anything that dealt with lawyers or like pretty much kids or people dying or any kind of way. I couldn't watch no movies. It was a pretty rough time though. I had to quit a couple of my other jobs. But during that time though, I mean, we all learned a lot. The small group of us that was trying to keep the fraternity alive, we learned as much as we could. We learned a lot. It was just a really difficult time for all of us. But I mean, I've learned a lot from that time though. dealing with people, like kind of go hand in hand. What we do in the fraternity and kind of dealing with people in the business world, especially, when you have small businesses, is kind of very similar, So like, it definitely prepared a lot for me for the businesses I have now, It definitely have, but it was a rough time back then.
Yeah.
For all of us.
Well, it seems like you were able to turn it around and overcome all the hardships, and now you own.
Yeah, we just tried our best at that time, and like fraternity's still here, and it's nationals are stronger than ever. I don't keep up with a lot of what's going on. The last time I kind of kept up was when Charles was president. Mm-hmm. Right, Charles was president a couple years back, if I remember correctly.
Years back. Yep.
Yeah,
about 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time I've kind of asked around to see what's going on, and Charles kind of, filled me in. But that was pretty much the last time I've kind of,
Yeah. Do you still keep up with any brothers from your chapter?
Oh yeah,
national board?
I mean, anybody from our chapter, I pretty much keep up with for the most part. As we get older, even within the fraternity, in a chapter, on a chapter level, you still kind of tend to hang out with certain people. Like let's say if it's your pledge bros or certain people that you kind of tend to lean towards. So for most of my pledge bros and a good chunk of some of the older guys that I kind of looked up to, and I still talk with them. But as we get older, it's just kind of inevitable that we're gonna
drift away a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But some of the the closest friends I have in my life are all lambdas. And that's kind of how it is with most people, that are really heavily involved in lambdas.
Are your business ventures
any related?
Yeah, are they? Do you own them by yourself, or do you have partners? How is it structured?
No, I have partners, and then a couple of them are lambdas. And then it's kind of natural for us to kind of lean towards lambdas. When it comes to if you need help, or if you're looking to do something, or at least for me, that's how it's always been. Lambdas has always been a part of my life. Even if I didn't want it, it always is somehow, some way. So even the business I had was through contacts through other lambdas of their friends and friends.
Oh.
That's how pretty much a lot of the business I kind of do is kind of all related. Friends of friends of lambdas of friends. That's how it's always kind of been.
So with all your businesses, I guess how have they, kept along with COVID, the pandemic? Have they been affected at all, or?
Yeah. Any restaurant bar is going to be heavily affected, especially in San Francisco. Just because of our mayor, London Bree. She's been pretty much on top of this whole thing for a long time, and we were the first city to close, and it was rough for all of us, but we understood. But we're going on pretty much a whole year's gone, to this.
I mean, you can get the PPP loan, the SBA loan, but that was supposed to last us till July, and so it's already November now. So it's and they can't. It's a tough situation for everyone involved from top to bottom, I feel, but they are definitely putting a lot of pressure on small businesses, and especially ones that are heavily leveraged, right? So whichever businesses had a lot of debt and they weren't in a good situation, or they were being really risky, it's unfortunate right now for sure.
It's very unfortunate. I mean, there's only anything that's kind of in this hospitality, industry is kind of has done a nosedive, and we're trying our best to kind of keep afloat. A lot of my other friends have restaurants and bars. Bars are actually worse than restaurants, for the most part, because most cities aren't allowing bars to just serve alcohol, so they have to serve food some way, somehow.
Now, where was your restaurant? I know you had a cocktail bar, right? Was it well prepared? I guess, were you able to shift its focus a little bit?
We were all pretty prepared. I mean, the cocktail bar, we already served food as it was.
Yeah.
But we jumped on it pretty quickly. When this whole thing happened, the moment they allowed us to do to-goes, we started to do it right away. The moment they let us do outdoor seating, we had it pretty set up right away. I mean, for a lot of the other people, who kind of started late doing outdoor seating and doing to-goes, I think they're the ones that are kind of on the brink of shutting down.
Yeah.
You know.
And it makes sense because if they're that late to change, they probably weren't well prepared. Like their business in general wasn't probably like well adequate.
Yeah, and change is hard enough as it is for most people to deal with, just in our daily lives. And then when you have a business and you're trying to do something completely different than what you're normally doing or what you're used to, it's really hard. Like some of my friends, their parents own Chinese restaurants, and they're old school. Chinese restaurant that's been around for a really long time.
They pretty much the cashier register.
the old school cashier button with the gringy little plastic thing over it, and they're shutting down like left and right because they just having a hard time, coping with this. They don't know how to do the whole online delivery things, and they don't understand that they need to do outdoor seating but it's a tough time for everybody, but we're all trying our best.
So what's the state of I guess all the restaurants in San Francisco right now and like proceeding forward?
Well, San Francisco we just shut down indoor seating again. They just opened it about a month and a half ago, and we're doing all right. We're doing all right for a while, and once they shut down the indoor seating, though, that really hurt a lot. And then now, because the COVID cases are rising so much, we're allowed to open until 12 o'clock. Now we can't even we can only open until 10. So they cut our hours too. And
is most of your businesses like that set up where like a lot of your, I guess, revenues from those hours, or is it just that one cocktail bar?
It's not. The cocktail bar is mainly the one. The cocktail bar is located in the Sunset in San Francisco. It's a district in the city. It's kind of residential, so pretty locals of that area are mainly the customers that come to Lost and Found. That's the name, Lost and Found. And then so it doesn't hurt us that much because it's mainly local people that are coming, but the hours it's a big deal because those are kind of drinking and eating late night drinking hours, and it does hurt a lot. Paina, on the other hand, we're a little bit closer to downtown. We're kind of in between where the residential areas and downtown kind of meet. We're in Japantown, and like that area is a little bit different. So we kind of rely on more of the people kind of traveling, back and forth, kind of a destination spot. So that place we need, majority of the people that come are people that eat. So being open late doesn't really matter as much. But I mean, every business, not only in SF or in anywhere, they have little things that kind of help them, like, bars are a little bit better at night, more food during the day. But I mean, all in all, it only helps a little bit, to be honest. Being fully open is the only way that we're going to survive.
I mean, the margins are never that great anyways to begin with restaurants.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially restaurants.
Yeah.
Especially restaurants. I mean, bars are completely different.
Yeah.
But give or take restaurants, revenue, most restaurants, their profit margins range around 30 to 40%, and that's max. That's absolute max.
Yeah.
Bars are a lot higher than that. So you can imagine how the margins can fluctuate, especially if you're forced to serve food when you're never, when you've never really served food before.
Yeah.
Luckily, we've been serving food, but, for a lot of other places, they just can't even open because they can't find anybody to team up together with to serve food, and it's a whole other headache on top of that.
So what is your role in your businesses? Are you mainly like the operator? Are you in charge of, the storefront, the front of the house? What is your day to day?
Before all this happened, most of us kind of shared duties. At Paina, we have 4 partners, and then like we pretty much, one guy did the kitchen, one guy did the front of the house, one guy did the back end. I kind of did a little bit of everything. If my guy in the kitchen, if he wasn't there, or if he needed, on certain days that he's off, I would jump in. If we needed help in the front, I'll jump in. So I kind of was pretty much all over, for the most part. I dealt with a lot of the private events, but, all the positions that we were all doing was never meant to last this long. It was more or less supposed to be, I mean, you're a business owner too, so, most business owners are pretty much everything. They're the janitors to the to the cooks to I mean, they pretty much do everything.
I always explain it like there's an opportunity cost where, you know, we are always wanting our business to be perfect, and every time that you don't spend on your business, it's minutes lost on that progression towards of what you have vision for your business. So
yeah,
it's tough for people to understand because it's a constant anxiety that you have. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, when you have just one business is one thing. Then when you have another, then you have a third or a fourth, a fifth. Once you kind of build up these businesses, you can't be at all those places at once. Yeah. There's just no way, you know. So sooner or later, you're going to have to pass the reins to somebody, you know. And like before COVID, we're pretty much at that point where most of us aren't really there all the time. We're there, but we're kind of spread out at different places. But for the most part, we weren't there as much, you know, or we could have spent our time doing other things, you know. But now it's a completely different story, you know. Finding staff is really hard right now. Finding staff is extremely hard. And like, it's especially right now when everything's sporadic, you know, the way we open, it's really hard. So all of us are pretty much working and taking shifts and pretty much being, you know, staff right now. You know, like I'm bartending and I'm serving, and you know, we just kind of have to do that until we can get out of this.
Yeah.
So for I guess all the, you know, bros, whoever's listening to this podcast, you know, they're saying they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to own a couple of restaurants. Like, what advice would you give them? Like, you know, what would you caution them about?
You know, one big thing, you know, and I think this is the same. I think this is the same in a lot of places, you know, a lot of cities at least. You know, the food and beverage is really hard. It's a very hard business, you know. Profit margins are very, you know, very sharp, you know, very slim. Most likely you're going to have to work it all day, all night sometimes. But it's definitely something I enjoy doing. So if you enjoy doing it, then by all means you should try to do it. But one big thing is that you have to understand it takes a lot of time. I didn't realize how much time this was going to take. I didn't realize that it was pretty much going to be a 10 or 15, sometimes 15-hour days, you know, 6-7 days a week, just to get it, you know, kind of running on its own. And this is for years. Sometimes some people think it'll take months to get it going, but if you really want to get it going, you know, very sharp, it's going to take a while, you know, it'll take a while.
Was there any moments where you were kind of like, dang, maybe I don't really want to do this, I just want to go find like a corporate job, something like that?
Yeah, I thought of that, but you know, me personally, I can't take orders from people very well, you know, like I'm not somebody that likes to be told what to do. That's kind of the biggest reason why I couldn't do a corporate job. I'm pretty social too, you know, I love to socialize and, you know, hang out and drink and all that stuff just like anybody else. So doing a corporate job was never something I wanted to do, you know. Once I kind of got into this whole restaurant bar thing, like I pretty much dedicated my life to it, you know, and I love doing it. You know, this is something I really enjoy, but it's definitely not an easy thing. Definitely not. But one big thing that I wish I kind of understood is, you know, it's great that we want to micromanage our businesses and, you know, do whatever we can to kind of make sure the business runs smooth. There comes a point where you have to kind of let things go, and you have to kind of let, you know, whoever your manager is or somebody who can take care of those kind of day-to-day things, that's important that you let them do those things. I found myself kind of always micromanaging and trying to fix things, and like it's definitely not something that's going to help your business grow. Those are things that you kind of maintain the business, but so if you want to have more businesses and you want to do bigger and better things, you kind of have to kind of arrange your time so you can focus on those things, you know. And like me spending an hour or 8 hours doing micromanaging people, I could have spent those 8 hours thinking about my next business or doing something bigger or better. Yeah. You know, so I felt like I wasted a lot of my time, you know, just doing these small things, you know, that I could have let somebody else do. and kind of wasted a lot of time. I kind of a big regret about that, because I could have spent all that time figuring out what my next move was, what my next business was.
And I always feel like people, they always expect a lot from their employees, but they don't have any equity in the business. They're not going to put as much, effort or heart into it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you have to find ways to cultivate that culture where they do by either compensating them or, providing them a job where they really love every single aspect about it. And I think people don't understand that that's where you have to put in the work and not the micromanaging aspect of it. That's something that I'm struggling with, right? Just trying to figure out that balance. And I think I think you're absolutely right. Like, you got to focus on how your next big steps and how to be more efficient in your time management.
Yeah. And the other bad thing, it's not a bad thing necessarily, but when you're, in especially restaurants, for most people, that's not everybody, but for the most part, it's like their first or second job that they've ever had, and like these people are going to be kind of filtering through, they're majority of the people that work there are relatively fairly young.
Yep.
They're still in school, or they're in between jobs, or they don't know what they want to do with their lives yet. So your turnover on staff is going to be a lot, and like you have to kind of expect that. And maybe out of the hundreds of employees that you might have had over the years, you might get maybe one or two that might be one of those people who are going to be there for the long run, and maybe you can promote up, for something like a longer position, or something that's bigger, but it's kind of rare, we must have had at least over 100 employees, and we found one person out of those, who might be somebody that, who wants to stay with us for a long term, and you want to cultivate those kind of people, because you can't be there forever, right?
Yeah.
So, you want to promote those people, you want to make them grow, but even those people, you just never know how it is, especially when they're younger and they're still trying to figure things out.
And there's always like a ceiling with just having one restaurant, right? You always have to continuously expand to be able to promote that one person into like a district manager, into a regional manager. Like, there's only so many positions you can, grow and promote the person. It is tough, and that's why in the long term the turnover rate is pretty high, right?
Yeah, it's very high. It doesn't matter. I feel like it's like that with clear across the board with all majority of restaurants and bars.
Yeah.
It's just a high turnover, and like it's really hard to find good people. That's how it always is, but always hard to find good people. But you got to try to cultivate and try to find people that could really, who could be a manager or somebody who could kind of take over for you.
Yeah.
Those are pretty important, especially if you're trying to start more businesses. Finding somebody you trust is probably the most important thing than anything else.
Now, would you say, so it seems like you open up like brand new concepts or you take over existing businesses. Is that correct? And you're not expanding like your, Paella, for example. Yeah.
It depends. I mean, Paella, when we first took over, the second year that we took over, we're thinking about expanding to like SoCal and New York.
Okay.
I flew to New York. To look at spaces because we're pretty interested in possibly, expanding it. But we kind of figured out that we still had a lot of things that we had to figure out at home. And Paella, our restaurant Paella, it's not a small restaurant. It's almost a 300 capacity, 260 seat restaurant.
How many square feet?
It's almost 8,000 square feet.
Holy cow! How much is rent,
restaurant.
if you don't mind me asking?
No, rent I got fairly lucky. Everybody says that they got lucky. When you hear somebody like, yeah, my rent's not too bad, I got lucky. We got really lucky. Like, to give you an idea, all the restaurants and bars that are around are literally on our same block in that same area. They're paying about give or take between $5 to $6 a square foot, and I'm probably paying, let's just say, a lot less than that.
That's awesome.
A lot less.
That's great.
But that was only because our timing was kind of perfect. When we took over the restaurant, it was an already existing business. It was an existing concept. We just pretty much took it over and kind of revamped things. You know, we revamped the decor, revamped the menu, changed the staff, changed a lot of the stuff that we were doing. So it was an existing business, and we just kind of made it better and kind of made it our own. But it's not a small place. So because it's so big, you can't just do food or just drinks. You have to figure out other ways to kind of keep it going. You know, so we'll do live music, we'll do private events, you know, like just whatever you could possibly do to try to find other ways to make money, you know, because I don't care if you have a 10-seater bar or a to-go spot or a 500-seat restaurant, you have to find other ways to make money, you know, in that space. You know, you can't just only think about doing to-goes and people coming in. You have to find other ways to get people coming in or other ways that people can find out about your business. You know, I mean, we're doing live shows. We would do, you know, the place was kind of split up into two different sections, like a kind of an upper level and a lower level. You know, like at one point we would have a live show happening, 2 private events at the lower level, 1 private event going upstairs and open to the public, and have two groups in the private rooms in the back all at once, just kind of all happening all at once.
This is where your club promoter, your
came in handy.
Yeah, the skills in bringing in people.
You know, anybody that's really social that's in that clubbing scene, I mean, the number one thing we get out of it is just that the networking.
Yeah,
you know, getting those people, and they've helped. They do help, you know. But I hear a lot of my friends who have a lot of friends. Like I have friends that are pretty popular, and they always think that, I know a lot of people, so I'll be fine. I can open up a club or a bar and it'll be great. And I'm like, it's not that simple. You know what I mean? Like, you can only rely on your friends or people that you know to come and support you for so long.
Yeah.
You know, and if I put it in percentages, I would probably say maybe 10%, you know, of the time, it's probably my friends, you know, that are either coming to support. And that's high.
Yeah.
You know, if you really think about it. And like, if you really think about how many friends, I mean, think about how many times could they really come to your restaurant or bar and support you? You know, so
for you to make a living.
Yeah, it's just no way, you know, so you have to find a way to diversify your business and try to get, you know, anything possible to find ways to, to make money in your business, as long as it doesn't hurt the name or the branding of your place. You know, you should do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's especially now. I mean,
yeah.
Granted, we can't do too many things right now, but I mean, you have to find other ways to kind of survive right now.
It's all hands on deck. Did you do delivery apps before, or now are you now doing delivery apps?
So Paino, we were doing it for a while, but our cocktail bar, the cocktail bar is only about a 50-seater, and we didn't have any platforms at all.
Yeah.
You know, so we started right away. You know,
Had to.
And it took us a month to try to get all the platforms.
Well,
and just remember, everybody started.
Yeah, Uber Eats was like terrible. They were the worst one. Their UX, like their support was like crashing. It took us.
It's all. But imagine everybody. Imagine I mean, if you imagine all the restaurants and bars in California or even in San Francisco, and all of a sudden everybody wants to do to-goes, with maybe 30 or 40% of them was doing to-goes. It's crazy when you really think about how many people are trying to do to-goes right off the bat within a week, literally within a week.
And the thing is, like, I think in restaurants who've done it before, they only had one platform, but like everyone was trying to add on to all 4 DoorDash, Postmates, right? Uber Eats, Grubhub, right? And then so it's just everybody was still going for all the other platforms, so it was a mess.
It was a hot mess. And like when you try to get things fixed or something, like I remember calling Uber because of just like a mess up order. The wait time was almost 2.5 hours.
Jeez.
2.5 hours. You know, like I thought they were joking, you know what I mean? And like DoorDash, they give it to you in minutes, you know, like they tell you in minutes. It was like 340 minutes or something. Like it was just ridiculous, you know. But I mean, like I said, everybody's trying to do to-goes all at the same time, so I don't blame the companies. But it's very difficult. Plus the profit margins on to-goes are a lot smaller. Well, that's a big thing.
We raise our prices on the delivery apps because
because
like
everybody
they take 30% of your of the cost. I mean, that's crazy. Our margins are already tiny as is.
Yeah, 30%. Are you fucking serious? I mean, sorry to cuss, but literally, I was like, are you serious? Like, how are you going to take 30% right off the bat? And the funny thing was, a few of them didn't even take 30%. They took 30% once the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was really odd. I didn't understand that part, but they said that it was, development costs. I asked them about it. They're saying something about development costs or something, and but we are lucky in San Francisco, though. The good thing is that our mayor knew that it was 30% was a lot, so she forced all the delivery companies to only charge 15.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I know it's not like that with all the cities, but our city in San Francisco, they changed it so that's 15%, which is 15% is reasonable. 15% is not too bad.
That's awesome. Yeah, in Texas, everything in Texas is still 30% from my experience. Houston and Dallas. So. Yeah, I split my time between both cities, and Texas is more like opposite of California in terms of restrictions.
Yeah. But I mean, from my understanding, the cities do have the power to change those things. I thought that they would change it, but I didn't realize that the city has power to do that.
Yeah, local level. So
I did not know that.
What are your short-term goals and your long-term goals? It seems like you have. I mean, I guess right now it's like surviving the pandemic. But is there anything? Like past, is there anything, something that you're working on right now, or something that you're looking forward to?
The short-term goals is pretty much keeping the businesses alive. Yeah. That's pretty much a short-term, whatever it takes to keep it alive. Long-term wise, beyond the business I have now, of course, I want to grow my businesses and stuff. But we had two more big projects, that was happening during this time, and because of this, we can't do it no more. And I think it's going to be like that for a little bit. We're trying to start new businesses during this time. It's going to be you got to be very specific, it's hard to say, it's very strategic. You got to be very specific about how you want to start these businesses right now. It's going to be really hard right now, especially the government's not really giving a lot of loans right now either. They're only doing minor, small loans to keep businesses afloat, like SBA loans. But they're not really doing anything beyond that. So I don't know what the plan is. Maybe after this pandemic, the government will start giving out larger loans to businesses to, kind of reactivate the economy and stuff. I don't know how it's going to be right now. I think everything's kind of up in the air.
It's a lot of
But of course, my goal is to open more businesses. More restaurants, more bars, nightclubs. I'm kind of in this industry for the long run, so those are pretty much my goals.
Are all of your current ones in San Francisco?
Yeah, for now, San Francisco. But before this, it was we're going to expand outside of San Francisco, but. It doesn't look like it's going to happen for a little while.
Gotcha. And is all your investment in the businesses, or have you diversified? Like you have some real estate, or you have some stocks?
Well, stocks. I mean, stocks we all kind of fiddle around with here and there. And I'm not much of a gambler. I'm actually a horrible gambler. So the closest thing to gambling I'll probably do is play a couple of slots on the slot machine. But stocks are more one of those things where I kind of I'll hold on to. I bought a bunch of Google stock when Google first went public.
Nice.
And and I've kept those, and I've done nothing with them. Pretty much. And I have. Most of the stocks I have are kind of like legacy brands, Google, Apple, the main ones, but I pretty much buy and hold. That's pretty much my strategy. I'm not really a day trader or any kind. As far as real estate goes, yeah, definitely. Real estate is another thing. I mean, anybody that's an entrepreneur wants to be in real estate too. That's kind of like, it go hands in hand. You own businesses and you own property. That's what you want to do. So we're definitely in that game too. Very, very beginning stages. We're not quite there yet.
But it's just hard in San Francisco, right? Because it's such a higher purchase price. Compared to Texas. Yeah, I mean.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even the comparison. It's
like
what you get in Texas,
so
it's just not even relatively the same.
We just bought a $1,500 or 1,500 square feet house 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's pretty spacious. It's like on a 5,000, 6,000 lot, and we bought it for under $200,000. So I can't. I feel like you can't even get like a little condo in San Francisco for that price.
No. So, the place that I was living before, it's kind of in the ghetto area, right? And like there used to be I kid you not, there used to be a crack house like across the street. It's no joke. It's a for real crack house. Okay, it's a real crack house, and like it's about 5 minutes from school. Okay, and like the neighborhood was just really, it was not great. Okay, like my neighbor got shot in front of my house. Like literally right in front. But it's not even nowhere near as bad as other parts of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Tenderloin
like,
is
it's by far the worst.
Yeah.
That's by far the worst. But this crack house was lightly renovated, and it sold maybe about 5 years ago. But no, about 4 years ago, and it was 1.2 million.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And like that house, it was. I want to say it was like maybe 900 square feet to maybe 1,100 square feet at the most. And the lots in San Francisco is really small. I mean, no backyard, there is no front yard. It's just 2 parking spaces. But a crack house that was lightly fixed up went for 1.2 million, in a neighborhood where my neighbor got shot right in front of me, right in front of the house, and that went for 1.2 million.
You can get a lot of stuff in Texas with that.
Yeah, I mean condos. I mean, just like rent alone. One of my friends lives in downtown. Okay, in a condo. He pays $5,000 for a 700 square foot condo.
Per month?
$5,000 a month. Yeah.
Wow,
that's insane.
That's 2 mortgages.
Yeah.
That's 3 mortgages in Texas. That's insane.
Yeah, 200,000. Jeez, I mean, oh my God. That's not even something that I can even fathom right now. Like it's not even something that's realistic, I mean, that's unbelievable. But I mean, other places are definitely cheaper. I mean, I love living in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
definitely has its pros and cons.
Were you born and raised there?
No, I was born in Korea.
Korea, okay.
I was born in Korea. I came here when I was 4. And I lived in Monterey pretty much majority of my life.
Monterey.
And then, Monterey, like Central California.
Did you go to Big
Not
Sur
in
a lot?
SoCal, not like Monterey Park or anything. It was Monterey, the city, Monterey Bay. So right into Central California.
Is there many Koreans in that area?
Yeah, actually is. There's actually a lot of Koreans there. Not as much as like LA or anything. But you can always tell how many Koreans there are from how many Korean restaurants and how many Korean churches.
Yeah. Have you ever? Go ahead.
No. So the city I lived in, it was a suburb of Monterey called Marina. That city, Marina, had 10 Korean churches in that city.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So Korean
3
churches. Korean churches. Your churches, do they get big and then they have a big fight and then they split into 2 churches? That's like a.
That's probably what happened. Korean churches are very weird. Like it's one of those things where I used to go to one of them and it's just really weird. Like they're very forceful. With the religion and like.
They're very orthodox. Very yeah.
And then like a lot of the kids, most of them are not really hardcore Christians. I mean, after they go to church, they'll go drink and smoke and party and I mean, I party too. Don't get me wrong, but church was just never really. It wasn't something that I really was really into.
No, church is always for Koreans, it's always a big part. I was raised Christian. When you're going to church like 3 times a week and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, 3 times a week.
But so what do you do for fun? I guess besides trying to hustle and save your businesses.
I have to say though, ever since I got out of Lambdas, after my last term of presidency, I literally had to leave the fraternity and kind of get away from it for a while, for a couple of years. I was still advising the national board at that time, but I really had to get out of it. And after that, that was a long time ago, but so much of my, time that I had, was devoted to Lambdas for so long. Since that time, I kind of feel like I don't know what to do. Even now, it's been such a long time, but I still feel like, I don't know what to do with myself sometimes. So, I'm pretty heavily into my businesses for the most part.
Yeah.
But I don't really do too many things, to be honest. I'm usually just doing, working on my businesses, or, I'll travel, I've traveled more than ever in the last couple of years.
Awesome.
It was mainly because of my girlfriend. She loves to travel, so we tend to travel a lot. But traveling is probably the biggest thing we do, kind of on the side. On my spare time. That's probably the biggest thing. But to be honest, what I really like to do is I just like to sit at home and watch TV. That's honestly the best thing ever. Yeah. Just literally just do nothing is what my favorite thing to do is, to be honest.
What TV show have you been watching? I think people on Twitter have been going crazy over the Queen Gambit.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
show on Netflix.
Yeah. You know what I was really getting into recently? We got into the show Warrior. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Warrior, it's pretty much the remake of the old school show from the 70s called Kung Fu. That show was originally supposed to be a Bruce Lee show in the 70s, and then it got taken over by David Carradine, old school guy from the 70s. I don't even know who he is. I just only know the story. Yeah. And then, so that show was never made. And then after that, recently, I think last year, the show called Warrior, started, and it was pretty much the same concept. It was a storyline that Bruce Lee came up with, and then it got started. But it's a pretty good show. It takes place like in the 1800s, great fighting scenes, storyline's pretty good, but that's what we've been pretty stuck on.
Is it on Netflix or what?
No, it's on Cinemax.
Cinemax, okay.
So, I'm not promoting to watch it on bootleg, but I mean, I'm sure you can find a way to watch it. I'm sure you can find ways to watch it. But that's a show that we've been pretty much on, for the most part, and kind of waiting for. But to be honest, I haven't had a lot of time to watch a lot of the shows.
Yeah.
But Warrior's the one that we've been really kind of on.
Gotcha. And are you a big sports fan, or?
I'm not, actually. I'm totally not. I mean, I played football and basketball for my high school, and then and I was pretty involved for a long time in sports. But after I got to college, I just, I just pretty much devoted my time to Lambdas, basically. And nowadays, I don't really watch a lot of sports. I'll keep up with Super Bowl and the finals, and that's mainly because of the businesses, because I want to show those games at the businesses. But for the most part, I'm not too involved with it. I don't really gamble. I don't watch a lot of sports. I don't do a lot of that stuff.
You're a wholesome guy, man.
Yeah, super wholesome.
Or an ex-club promoter, very wholesome.
Yeah, I don't smoke either. I've never smoked either. So,
wow.
A Korean that doesn't smoke is kind of rare nowadays.
But you drink soju, though.
Oh yeah, soju is not a problem. I love soju. Yeah.
But man, so I guess any last closing remarks that you had, or any questions?
No, this was great.
This was super.
Super informative. Very interesting. Very interesting perspective, especially coming from one business owner to another. But obviously different states, so it's totally different regulations. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But we asked some questions. We asked all of our guests. First question we asked is what book would you recommend, or what book are you reading now?
Honestly, I'm not reading books as much as I should be. But I just bought. I've been doing a lot of Audible. Mm-hmm. I've been listening to a lot of books, and I just bought that Obama book that just came out.
Promised
Land.
Promised
Land.
Yeah. So I haven't heard it yet, but I really need to read more. But that's the only time I have is just kind of listening while I'm driving. For the most part. So that's the book I literally just bought a couple days ago.
And are you listening to any podcasts? Do you listen to any podcasts on the regular?
Oh yeah.
So you'd recommend?
Yeah. So I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, just like probably everybody else.
He just moved to Austin.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. And then, God, I can't listen to this guy too long, but Tiger Belly. It's
I feel like I've heard of that.
The Korean comedian, right?
Yeah. It's a Korean comedian. I don't know why the name doesn't pop into my head. Bobby Lee.
Bobby Lee. There we go.
Yeah. And like his podcast is pretty funny for the most part.
Bobby, he hasn't changed since like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that listens to this podcast, like it's oh man, you can only listen to it for so long, because this just God, Bobby Lee is just man, like he's just
super strong persona.
Yeah, and like he's very stuck to his own ways no matter what.
It's Korean. It sounds very Korean.
But Joe Rogan, Tiger Belly, and I listen to some just kind of randomly here and there, but those are the two main ones. But mainly Joe Rogan, to be honest. That's probably like 90% of what I listen to.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And then I think the last question we have is, what advice do you have for younger bros who want to be a leader in their community in whatever they're trying to accomplish?
Oh man, that's a big question. Younger lambdas. For the most part, like kids that are still in school, they tend to be focused on, let's say very few things. Partying, going to school, of course, but partying, socializing. I don't care who you are, but that's becomes a very important thing. When you're in college, and like you kind of with those things, when you're partying all the time, you kind of lose focus on what's really important, and it's. Man, granted that they have to learn on their own, but it's pretty important to kind of refocus on school. I was really, I didn't finish school. I should have, just like a lot of lambdas, a lot of lambdas tends to not finish school, and like, I really wished I focused on school a lot more during those times. And like, the fun's going to happen afterwards. If you just kind of focus on school. Some of the best times of my life, granted, some of those times were in college, but majority of it was actually after school. When you're older, have a little bit more money and being able to do more things. A lot of my memories are during those times. But for the most part, for the younger people, whatever they want to do, just be focused on trying to do those things, and not get too focused about partying or having fun. I know that's really hard, but that's literally the biggest thing that I kind of regret. I should have, kind of toned down the partying a little bit and focused a little bit more on what I want to do with my life. But whatever it is, I think it's important to go full on. Whatever you want to do, just go full on. Doing things partially is probably the worst thing you can do.
I agree.
You can't just, even if I don't care if you want to be a bus driver. If you want to be a bus driver, go 100% and become a bus driver. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just don't be half-assing things. Just being partially about, doing things. And then the second thing is, I think you have to be 100% brutally honest to yourself. Like, it has to be brutal honesty. If you kind of realize that you're a lazy person, you probably should get up and do something. And like, I found myself, at times thinking that I was really doing something when I really wasn't doing anything. You have to be really brutally honest with yourself in order to kind of realize that. Mm-hmm. So you got to be brutally honest with yourself.
I think those are pretty good advice.
Yeah, those are great advice. Awesome.
If people want to contact you, is there any way they can get in touch with you, whether it's email, Instagram, social media?
Yeah, Facebook. I know it's old school. I have Instagram and stuff too. So they can Instagram me. My Instagram handle is just pretty much my first and last name. It's Beung Kwon _ it's Beung _Kwon. Okay. And then my Facebook is just my first and last name. It's easy to find. I check my messages pretty regularly. Mm-hmm. For the most part. I have bros contacting me all the time about stuff. So I'm always down to help or chit chat. I'm always down to chit chat with bros, especially when it comes to starting or owning or running a business.
Great. Awesome. And what are your restaurants' names so people can start following those as well?
The restaurant, the one in Japantown is called Paina Restaurant and Lounge. It's in Japantown. The cocktail bar is called Lost and Found. Okay, it's in the Sunset. And then the shabu is called Nabe 2, which is in the Marina. But those are the main ones.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess when we post this episode, which will be in about 2 weeks.
We'll make sure to link them.
Yeah, we'll link all those, so everyone will have access to them. So
yeah,
great,
Cool.
awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much, Beung. We really appreciate it.
yeah, it was
All
great.
right, thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot, guys.
Man, so I thought that was a pretty great episode from Beung.
Yeah, Beung he went through a lot in his life, and I am very happy.
almost admire him.
Yeah, exactly. He was a college dropout, and now he owns 3 restaurants, huge restaurants.
Yeah.
8,000 square feet is not small, and to still be
In San Francisco, to say
Yeah.
nonetheless.
to be working and hustling in San Francisco right now during this pandemic, he wasn't even sweating. He was like, "This is what I do for a living. I enjoy it." So it's pretty inspiring.
Yeah. So I guess after hearing all the wisdom he gave us, everything he's gone through, what would you say was your main takeaway from the episode?
Yeah, I think perseverance. I think he really nailed it at the end when he said, "Give it all you got," because
That's the only way.
I think that he really shows that in his life, whether it was his personal life, his volunteer life, or his professional life. And so I think regardless of what you're going through and whatever situation you may be in, it's always important just to push through and get through it.
I agree.
And so that's it for this episode, guys. We'll see you guys in 2021 because this will be released on December 2020.
You're right.
So
Have a good holiday.
yeah, have a great holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's.
And real quick before we cap it off, though, if you guys do know anyone that you think would be a great addition to the show, well, they of course have to be Lambdas.
Yep.
Please refer them to us. We would love to interview. Build our list going, and
Yeah, we're looking for all ages. I mean, anyone that's just has a story to tell. We just want to share it to the rest of the brotherhood and rest of the people who might be interested. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to, share their story. So
I agree.
And also, if you are a business owner, you guys want to publicize your business, let us know as well. All we require is a small donation to the newly formed foundation, and your business will be advertised to the rest of the membership. So great stuff.
Yeah, so we'll catch you guys in 2021.
All right, Happy New Year's, guys. Bye.
Bye.